In the world of Jade Dynasty, Zhang Xiaofan's journey is not only marked by fierce battles and cultivation breakthroughs, but also by a complex emotional web involving 5 women who loved him deeply. Each of them experienced vastly different fates, some tragic, some bittersweet, all woven into the tapestry of Zhang Xiaofan's life. Let's dive into the stories of these 5 women and examine what ultimately became of them. First is Bi Yao. Don't be confused by her last name. Her father is none other than Wan Renwang, the Ghost King. As the original young master of the Ghost King sect, Bi Yao grew up enjoying the highest privileges. Her upbringing allowed her to compete with the likes of Zhou Xiaobai, a genius nurtured by Daoxuan himself. But Bi Yao had something even more extraordinary: the protection of Zhou Xiuqi, one of the 4 great saints, who served more like her personal guardian. This level of treatment was virtually unheard of among the younger generation of cultivators. Yet despite her status, Bi Yao's childhood was marred by a deep emotional scar. The source of her trauma traces back to a hunt on Huqi Mountain, where Pu Fang, one of Shaolin's 4 great monks, subdued demons and ended up chasing Bi Yao and her mother, Xiaoqi. During the hunt, a cave collapsed. Xiaoqi, wounded and trapped, ultimately resorted to sacrificing her own body to keep her daughter alive. By the time Wan Renwang arrived, Xiaoqi was already dead. The grief nearly drove him insane, but what terrified the young Bi Yao even more was the murderous rage in her father's eyes. She mistakenly thought he was going to kill her. From that day on, the burden of guilt over her mother's death and the fear of her father's abandonment became 2 crushing weights on her soul. Then came Zhang Xiaofan. In the 7 days they spent together in the dripping blood cave, she found for the first time a sense of security in his honest, grounded demeanor. She slowly opened her heart to him, beginning a long, emotional tug-of-war. Bi Yao's feelings were sincere, but Zhang Xiaofan, torn between righteousness and demonic cultivation, remained undecided. Everything changed atop Qingyun Mountain during the battle at Yuqing Palace. Bi Yao threw herself in front of a fatal sword strike meant for Zhang Xiaofan. That moment awakened something in him. He realized that what truly defines a person isn't their path, righteous or evil, but their heart. Abandoning the rigid doctrines he'd grown up with, he joined the demon sect, adopting the name Gui Li, and dedicated himself to resurrecting Bi Yao out of guilt and love. The closest he came to succeeding was when a southern Xinjiang sorcerer managed to recall Bi Yao's 3 souls and 7 spirits. But just as her soul was about to re-enter her body, the sorcerer's life expired. The ritual failed. Zhang Xiaofan was devastated, yet unbeknownst to him, that very attempt gave Bi Yao the chance to escape when Fox Mountain collapsed. She would later reappear as a mysterious figure in immortal slaying. Next is Lu Xueqi. She was the first person to truly see Zhang Xiaofan for who he was. When they first met, he was an insecure and self-effacing young man. They bonded during the 7-Pulse martial competition and fell deeper into affection during their perilous journey to Kongsang Mountain. Together, they fought through 2 major battles, most notably against the remnants of the blood-refining hall, including the cunning Nian Lao Da. Isolated from their allies and surrounded by enemies, Zhang Xiaofan and Lu Xueqi relied on each other to survive. Eventually, Zhang was knocked into the undead abyss. Without hesitation, Lu Xueqi leapt in after him. Though they were later saved by Bi Yao and Yuji, the ordeal solidified their emotional connection. But neither dared to speak of their feelings. Zhang Xiaofan, plagued by self-doubt, kept silent. Lu Xueqi, bound by pride and shyness, also kept quiet. They missed their chance on Lubo Mountain. Later, during the battle at Lubo, Zhang Xiaofan exposed his dual cultivation and wielded the soul-devouring rod, earning the wrath of the righteous sects. Even though Lu Xueqi offered her life to vouch for him, it wasn't enough. He was condemned by Qingyun sect, setting the stage for a 10-year emotional standoff. Zhang Xiaofan buried himself in strategy and conquest, helping the Ghost King unite demonic factions to honor Bi Yao. Meanwhile, Lu Xueqi numbed herself through relentless sword training, trying to suppress her longing for him. Some might argue that Lu Xueqi's longing was nothing compared to Bi Yao's sacrifice, but they fail to see the depth of silent endurance. Her love wasn't just a fleeting thought, it was a battle against everything her sex stood for. She knew she wasn't allowed to love him, yet couldn't stop herself. In the third season of Zhu Xian, their reunion during the Tiandi Treasure House arc showed this vividly. From risking their lives to save each other, to their heart-to-heart beneath the moon, their bond only grew stronger. When they faced the possessed Dioxuan in the Beast God together, it became clear. Fan Shu's reunion was inevitable. Then there's Xiaobai, a being over 1,000 years old, so ancient she had forgotten her own name. She was already powerful during the birth of the Beast God. With more than a millennium of cultivation, her strength is beyond measure. Even Zhang Xiaofan, armed with the 5 heavenly books and the immortal execution sword, doubted he could defeat her. Yet this fearsome figure was imprisoned in the 8 evil mysterious fire formation for 300 years. Zhang Xiaofan released her during his exploration of Fengxiang Valley. Out of gratitude, she followed him, witnessing his agony over Bi Yao and his quiet devotion to Lu Xueqi. She saw the pain in his heart, but knew she could never be the one to heal it. The infamous drinking contest of the Jin clan speaks volumes. After defeating the final warrior, she conveniently fell into Zhang Xiaofan's arms in a drunken haze. That wasn't an accident, it was her final attempt. But even she had to admit defeat. She realized she could never take Lu Xueqi's place in his heart. Choosing dignity over desperation, she departed with the defeated fierce beasts of the Ghost King. Fourth is Zhou Xiaohuan. The adopted granddaughter of the mysterious Zhou Xiaobai, she inherited his skills in fortune-telling. By age 10, she could accurately read the first half of a person's life. Naturally, Zhou Xiaobai stepped back and let her take the reins while he collected fees. She first met Zhang Xiaofan at age 8, and again at 18 in a town near the Death Swamp. After Bi Yao's resurrection failed and Zhang Xiaofan spiraled into despair, Zhou Xiaohuan convinced her grandfather to bring him along on their journey. But their connection never deepened. Zhou Xiaohuan was a kind soul. She once sacrificed a year of her life to save Jin Ping'er, a stranger, and later offered decades of her life to save the wild dog Taoist. Given her selfless nature and mastery in face reading, her concern for Zhang Xiaofan likely came from compassion rather than love. From beginning to end, she remained a wanderer, caring but never tethered. Her role was that of a silent guardian, not a romantic interest. Finally, Jin Ping'er, a prodigy of the demon sect and the future star of the Hehuan sect. Her combat prowess easily placed her in the top 10 among her generation. Initially, she and Zhang Xiaofan were rivals due to their conflicting affiliations, but that changed during their encounters in southern Xinjiang and Fengxiang Valley. After 2 successful collaborations, she began to notice his many strengths: his power, his precision, his stoic charm, and even his cooking. These qualities made him nearly irresistible, and though Jin Ping'er was bold enough to scheme against even the mighty Qinglong, Zhang Xiaofan's disinterest was painfully clear. Pride wouldn't let her chase someone who didn't reciprocate. She withdrew with grace, choosing to travel the world alongside Zhou Xiaohuan. Though she felt the pull of affection, she valued her dignity more. In the tale of Jade Dynasty, love is not a simple thing. For Zhang Xiaofan, each of these 5 women left an indelible mark on his life, shaping his choices, haunting his heart, and driving his transformation. Bi Yao's sacrifice led him to abandon orthodoxy. Lu Xueqi's quiet strength held him anchored to hope. Xiaobai's loyalty offered comfort. Zhou Xiaohuan's kindness gave him pause. And Jin Ping'er's graceful exit reminded him of what could never be. They each loved in their own way, and in the end, found their own paths. Some tragic, some beautiful, all unforgettable.